Hello there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, I'm gonna share with you my updated top 25 personal favorite movies of all time in this video. This is an update to the three-part series that I did back in 2020, in the early days of my channel, where I shared my top 25 favorite films. That's been 2 years ago, and since then, I've seen a lot more movies, and of course, the nature of these things is your taste will change. And so some movies have left my top 25, some movies have moved into my top 25. There's been a little bit of a change or shift in my top 25. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you my updated top 25 list with you in this video. I'm sort of in a top 25 mood. Of course, my Georgia Bulldogs pulled off a huge win over the Tennessee Volunteers to really get a strong grip on that #1 ranking. Anyway, you don't want to hear me talk about college football, but I just can't contain the excitement about my dogs. They have a chance to repeat as national champions this year, and I am along for the ride. But you didn't come here to hear that. You came here to hear my updated top 25 favorite films. So I'm going to share those with you right now. Now, I had an audio issue when I first recorded this video, so I'm recording this first section sitting here, but in a moment, I'm gonna shift to my other area where I actually share my top 25 favorite films. So I'm re-recording the opening here, but let me just give you this quick setup. So my philosophy is, when it comes to top 25 lists is, first of all, I don't have a all-time favorite movie. If somebody stopped me on the streets and they ask, "Hey, James, what is your top favorite movie of all time? Name your top movie right now. What's your favorite movie?" I don't really have an answer to that question. Okay, to be honest with you, I really don't. For me, I can tell you my top favorite films, my top 25 favorite movies, but I can't really narrow it down to a top 5 or certainly not a favorite movie. I love so many different types of films, different genres, and it's just too hard for me to actually name, okay, that's my favorite film. Can't really do that. But what I can do is say, here's my favorite 25 movies. And that's what I'm gonna share with you in this video. So these are my personal favorites. They're by no means definitive. And so the updates since 2020, here's what's changed. 3 new films are now in my top 25, and 3 films that were in the top 25 in 2020 have now moved down the list a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share those first 22 films in chronological order. Again, I don't rank these movies. They're not ranked from 25 down to #1. These are just my top 25 favorite films, and I'm gonna share them with you in chronological order of release. Then I'm gonna share with you the 3 films that moved out of my top 25. So what are the films that were in my top 25 in that 3-part series in 2020 that have now moved down out of the top 25, still in the top 50, but not in the top 25. And then thirdly, I'm gonna share with you the new entrants in my top 25. So with that, I think this is the point at which I can shift where the audio issue is resolved. So I'm gonna shift to the other area right now and enjoy my updated top 25. Let's go. Order of release that are still in my top 25. Then I'm going to share with you the 3 films that have moved out of my top 25. So these are 3 films that appeared in my top 25 back in that 3-part series in 2020 that have now moved down. I still love these films. They're in my top 50 films of all time. But like I said before, this is a living organism. It changes over time. It's a fluid, organic thing. And the more you watch movies, the more your tastes change, and things change over time. So that's the nature of things. And then thirdly, I will share the new films that have entered my top 25. So that'll give you a complete update of my top 25 favorite films of all time, my personal favorites as of November 2022. And then I'll share an update in the future. But here they are, my 22 that are still in my list. Starting with 1921, this is The Kid by Charlie Chaplin. This is the Criterion Collection edition of The Kid. This is an amazing Chaplin film. It's just a heartwarming, just incredible a story that I just absolutely love. Jackie Coogan plays the little boy, and there's a great story about, or a very fascinating story about him as a child actor and some of the struggles that he dealt with. But Charlie Chaplin is absolutely brilliant in this. This is from 1921. So this is 1921. And then there's also the 1972 version on here as well, but, or actually 1972 restoration, I believe, but the film is from 1921. So it's a 100-year-old movie. So absolutely fantastic film by Charlie Chaplin with him and Jackie Coogan, the kid. Amazing movie. Alfred Hitchcock, of course, is going to feature in my top 25 films. The Man Who Knew Too Much. This is the 1934 Alfred Hitchcock film. He also did a remake in 1956, I believe, that starred, I think, Cary Grant. But this is the 1934 film, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Wonderful film about a Swiss family dealing with a kidnapping. You've got Peter Lorre in here. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's a story of a family who is vacationing in Switzerland, and they get involved in a kidnapping with their daughter being kidnapped by a group led by Peter Lorre and his band of no-gooders. So very fascinating film. And on this Criterion edition, we have a great restoration demonstration. So I highly recommend this if you're interested in the Criterion Collection sale at Barnes & Noble. This would be a great one to pick up. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Of course, The Kid would be as well, but this is from 1921. It's spine 799 in the Criterion Collection. The Man Who Knew Too Much is spine 643 in the Criterion Collection, and it's from 1934. All right, probably my favorite, I'll just pull these over here. Probably my favorite musical of all time is Singing in the Rain. Don't need to say a whole lot about this one, but this is one of the greatest films, musicals of all time. One of the things I love about this is not only the musical aspects of this, but the fact that this is one of the best films ever made about making movies. It is fantastic. Singing in the Rain. Love that film. Pather Panchali from the Apu trilogy. This is another fantastic consideration for the Criterion Collection. This is spine 782 in the collection. These are films from the Indian director Satyajit Ray, and Pather Panchali is the first of 3 films in this trilogy that deal with the life of this young man in India in the early 1900s, just dealing with a lot of tragedy and adversity in his life, and just how he moves through that as he matures from a young boy to a grown man. And Pather Panchali is from 1955, and this shows him as a little boy growing up in his family. Just heartbreaking, heartwarming, incredible life story. The Apu trilogy's Pather Panchali. Of course, Alfred Hitchcock appears again. In this case, I'm showing you this wonderful volume set here, volume 1, and the film that I'm talking about is Psycho. That's in my top 25. That remains in my top 25. I did a watch along with Eddie and Haley over on their Fans of Something channel last month. Psycho is just one of my absolute all-time favorites. So that's Psycho. And of course, featured up here. Psycho was from 1960, by the way. Featured up here is Medium Cool. This is another Criterion Collection recommendation I would offer to you. It is spine 658. This is one of my absolute favorite editions in all the Criterion Collection. Medium Cool. This is from 1968. It's from Haskell Wexler. Stars Robert Forster and Verna Bloom. It basically deals with the events or this time in America in 1968 where the world was on fire with a lot of social upheaval. You had the Vietnam War going on. You had civil rights movement going on. You had a lot of things happening. And this is Chicago in 1968 during the Democratic National Convention. Fantastic. Robert Forster is a TV man. He's doing some coverage of the convention. Verna Bloom is a young single mother, and their lives intersect. And this film is extraordinary. I love this film. I love the music and the vibe of this film. It puts you right there in the 1960s in this very heated and tumultuous time in America. Medium Cool is fantastic. Highly recommended for the Criterion sale. My favorite Clint Eastwood film and his directorial debut, 1971's play Misty For Me. I love this movie. Fantastic movie. He's a DJ in Northern California. A woman begins stalking him. This is a film that inspired films like Fatal Attraction. So absolutely love this film from 1971. Played Misty For Me. It is still my favorite of Clint Eastwood's films. And it actually includes a jazz concert in this movie. So love Play Misty For Me. 1971, Monty Hellman, another Criterion edition I would recommend is Lane Blacktop. This is a fantastic film. This is a great road trip film. It stars, of course, James Taylor, the musician. He is the driver. You have Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys. He's the mechanic. You have Laurie Bird playing the girl. And you have the wonderful Warren Oates who plays GTO. Basically, they challenge each other to a race across America, and the winner gets the pink slip of the other, they get to win the other person's car. So Lane Blacktop, great, fantastic story. Love this film. There's not a lot of backstory on the characters. You just get dropped into their world and you just see them as they are. You don't even know what their names are. And you just see them going across America. And I love the simplicity of that movie. Lane Blacktop is spine 414 in the Criterion Collection. So highly recommended. One of the greatest superhero films of all time to this day. It is the one that really started it all. Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman. It doesn't get any better than this, folks. Superman, the movie from 1978. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. I have nothing more to really say. I mean, I haven't got this on 4K yet. Let me know in the comment section if you think I should get Superman on 4K. Let me know that in the comment section below. But this is one of the great superhero movies of all time. And if I had to put together a list of my top 5 favorite superhero movies, this would appear in that list along with the likes of Avengers Endgame, SpiderMan II. This is definitely up there. Superman, the movie from 1978. All right, we are moving along here. That was 1978. And of course, a couple years later, we go to the second film in the Star Wars franchise, The Empire Strikes Back. This is just one of the greatest films ever made. An amazing film. I love this film. It's sort of did I want to put the original Star Wars movie in this list or this film? And I just went with this film, but both of those films are extraordinary. I absolutely love both of those films, and I have to give the nod to The Empire Strikes Back. An amazing, amazing film. Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back from 1980. Of course, I've said this many times on this channel. One of my favorite Criterion editions is the very first one I ever got. It is a film starring John Travolta, Nancy Allen, John Lithgow. It is Brian De Palma's Blowout. This is spine number 562 in the Criterion Collection. For the Criterion Collection sale, this is one of my highest recommendations. If you do not have this film, if you enjoy Brian De Palma films, if you like John Travolta or Nancy Allen or John Lithgow, this is an absolute no-brainer. Pick this one up. But this is one of my top 25 favorite films of all time, and it is one of my top favorite Criterion editions, Blowout, from Brian De Palma. My favorite Steven Spielberg film. I love the work of Steven Spielberg. Saving Private Ryan is up there for me. Schindler's List is one of his masterpieces. But for me, if you ask me, what is my absolute favorite film from Steven Spielberg? It is none other than The Color Purple. This is the film that stars Whoopi Goldberg in a breakout role, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover. It is a film that is generation defining, and it is just one of the greatest films ever made. The coming of age story of Celie, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and her journey and her relationship with her sister, and her relationship with Mr., played by Danny Glover, and all the wonderful, colorful characters. This is, in my opinion, Steven Spielberg's greatest movie. I mean, he has a lot of fantastic films, but for me, this is my personal favorite of his films, The Color Purple from 1984, 85, I think. So, great film. The Color Purple. Jonathan Demme made history, of course, with this film starring Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster and Scott Glenn, The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. This is just absolute mastery of filmmaking. And this film is one of the only 3 films to win the top 5 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Actress, Best, I think, Screenplay or what have you. This is an extraordinary film. It is just one of the greatest ever made. Anthony Hopkins had only 25 minutes of screen time, and he won the Best Actor Oscar. Jodie Foster was brilliant in this movie as Clarice Starling, the FBI agent, trying to track down Buffalo Bill and getting help from Anthony Hopkins' legendary character, Hannibal Lecter. So it just does not get any better than this. The Silence of the Lambs from 1991. Of course, Quentin Tarantino wowed us all in 94 with Pulp Fiction. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this other than I am super excited to get that 4K edition that's coming out very soon, I think in December. So I'm really looking forward to that. But this is one of his best films. The dialogue is absolutely amazing. Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Uma Thurman. Great film. Bruce Willis is in this. A lot of people are in this. This is just one of those great films. Of course, you see them listed up top here. You see a lot of the cast members up there at the top. But yeah, fantastic. I am looking forward to that 4K to see how it looks in 4K. 1994, Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Fantastic film. This is Robert Zemeckis. This is just one of those films that I simply cannot say enough good things about this movie. It is just one of the best films ever made. It is so fantastic seeing the story of Forrest Gump and his relationship with Jenny, his relationship with Lieutenant Dan and Bubba, and just the adventures of this young man and his extraordinary story and how he had a lot to do with a lot of historical events. I just love this film. It won a lot of Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor for Tom Hanks. Fantastic film, Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks appears again in my list in Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan from 1998. A lot of people feel like this film should have won Best Picture over Shakespeare in Love. I can't quite enter that argument just yet until I see Shakespeare in Love. So I have not actually watched that movie. But this is just a fantastic film. It's one of the best war movies ever made. And it's just that opening sequence with the storming of the Normandy beach is just one of the most iconic sequences ever put to film. And this is just a great movie. And the journey of these soldiers as they try to find Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon. Fantastic movie. Great film. Okay, this is where I cheat. As I said before, I've said many times on this channel, I consider Kill Bill and Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 to be a singular movie, so I'm counting them once. So I love these from Quentin Tarantino. I love the Kill Bill saga. So fantastic. I've heard rumors that he's gonna do a part 3. If he does, I just hope it's done right, and I have confidence that he will only do it if it can be done right. And this is just a fantastic set of films here. Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill, inspired by The Lady Snowblood. So if you don't have The Lady Snowblood, that's another Criterion Collection recommendation to pick up The Lady Snowblood, because when you see that movie, you will see what inspired Quentin Tarantino in Kill Bill. So highly recommend. I'm dropping things, sorry. Highly recommend Kill Bill and The Lady Snowblood. All right, another favorite of mine of superhero movies is SpiderMan II, the Sam Raimi film. This was one of the best films to come out in 2004. It's not just a great superhero movie, it's a great movie, period. It was one of the best movies to come out in 2004. Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, in Sam Raimi's masterpiece film, Spider-Man II. Absolutely amazing. Of course, you had, Otto Octavius, who was played by who played Otto Octavius? I'm going to have to read this on here. I apologize, James Franco. Alfred Molina masterfully played Otto Octavius in this film, Spider-Man II. Of course, this is the Spider-Man trilogy, so it's the first Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. So I'm talking about Spider-Man 2 here. Phenomenal superhero movie. Phenomenal movie, period. All right, 2007, one of my absolute favorite films. This is probably my favorite of the Coen brothers films. It is No Country for Old Men. This stars Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, and Tommy Lee Jones. Javier Bardem won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Anton Chigurh. Brilliant movie. I mean, it says here, there are no clean getaways. You got that right. When you see Javier Bardem playing the role of Anton Chigurh, wow. I mean, he earned that Oscar. Earned it. Absolutely. No Country for Old Men. All right. We're close to the end of my 22 that are still in the list. The Dark Knight, 2008, Christopher Nolan film, one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. This is another example of a great film that is a superhero movie. Similar to SpiderMan II, The Dark Knight stands as a great film, period. It is just a phenomenal movie. It's not just a great superhero movie. Heath Ledger won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor posthumously. And I believe this is the only superhero movie to have an Oscar-winning acting performance. So that definitely sets this film apart from all other superhero movies. It's just one of the greatest of all time, The Dark Knight. I love this series, The Dragon Tattoo, but I'm putting on here The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is part of a trilogy that is from Sweden. And this is just an absolutely phenomenal film. I love this movie, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. There's also an American remake starring Daniel Craig and I believe Rooney Mara. And it's also very good, but I love the original here of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And the last one that is still in my top 25 is a film where Jake Gyllenhaal just did just a phenomenal job in this movie. He plays in Nightcrawler, this 2014 film. This is one of the best films to come out in 2014, in my opinion. And Jake Gyllenhaal is absolutely phenomenal in this film. Rene Russo is in this film as well. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a young man. He's a bit troubled. He's trying to break into, covering news stories. He has a cheap camera and he's basically taking footage of things out in LA and selling them to the news station who, where Rene Russo works, and she pays for his footage and for his stories. And it's just phenomenal. It's from the producer of Michael Clayton, and it just says brilliant from Peter Travers of Rolling Stone. I agree, Peter. It is brilliant. This is an amazing film, and this film needs to have a 4K release. So that's Nightcrawler. Love that film. All right. So those are the 22 films that were in my top 25 list back in 2020. They're still in my top 25 list. There are 3 films that have now bumped out of the top 25, and there's 3 films that are coming in. So I want to cover first the 3 films that were in my top 25 2 years ago that have now slid down. They're still among my favorite movies. They're brilliant films. I love these movies, but they're no longer in that top 25 status. So the first is another Criterion Collection. Actually, I got 3 Criterion Collection recommendations for you right here. The first is Rebecca, the Alfred Hitchcock film. Love this film. This is the film that won an Oscar in 1940. It's his only film that won an Academy Award. And this is just a brilliant film from Alfred Hitchcock. I love this movie. It's Rebecca. It comes in at spine 135 in the Criterion Collection. Unfortunately, my Scannable case got a crack in it. I hate that, but it's spine number 135 in the Criterion Collection, and it is absolutely brilliant. Love this movie starring Laurence Olivier. It actually stars Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine and Laurence Olivier. Absolutely brilliant. I, Daniel Blake, the film from 2016, was in my top 25 favorites 2 years ago. It is now slid down the list, but it's still one of my favorite films. It is a heartbreaking story of a man in dealing with and struggling with the British social system, just trying to fight to get the benefits that he has worked his whole life to earn. And it is a slug trying to get people on the phone and answer his questions. And his story, along with the story of a homeless woman with 2 kids and their struggles together, just trying to make it in the world, is the heart of this story from Ken Loach. This is spine 906 in the Criterion Collection, and I highly recommend I, Daniel Blake. And then the story a film by Vittorio De Sica. This is from 1948 and is Spine 374 in the collection. Still one of my favorite films, but it slides out of the top 25 and it's Bicycle Thieves. This is an amazing film. Highly recommend this as well. So these are 3 more Criterion Collection editions that I would highly recommend for this November sale if you do not already have these films. So now it comes down to the 3 that have now entered. These are 3 new films in my top 25. I love these films so much that I dropped them on the floor, so I'm going to pick them up. But these are the 3 films that have now entered my top 25 and bumped those other 3 films out of the list. And I'm going to go in chronological order, starting with Double Indemnity. This is a 1944 film from Billy Wilder. This is one of the best written films of all time, and I simply cannot recommend this film enough. It is spy number 1126 in the Criterion Collection. It's the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack, and I highly recommend this film. This film stars Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edward G. Robinson in one of the best film noir films of all time. This is the granddaddy of film noir, and it is, I just simply can't say enough great things about this movie. If you have not seen Double Indemnity, please see this movie. It's one of Billy Wilder's best. So that's 1948, Double Indemnity. The next film is another film from this Alfred Hitchcock set. So Psycho was in my list in 2020. It remains in the list, still in the list of my top 25 films. But the film that now enters my top 25 as well is Vertigo from Alfred Hitchcock. It is in my top 25 favorite films of all time. Starring James Stewart. It is just one of the greatest films ever made. It has a score by Bernard Herrmann. It is just absolutely brilliant. James Stewart plays Scotty. He plays this man who gets infatuated with this married woman, and there's a lot of mystery around her. It is just one of the greatest films ever made, and it is a film from Alfred Hitchcock. Of course, Vertigo is from 1958, came out 2 years before Psycho, and it is one of the greatest films ever made and one of Hitchcock's masterpieces. Vertigo. So that is the second of 3 films to enter my top 25, which leaves one more film that has now entered my top 25 favorite films of all time. It is a film that I absolutely love. It is from South Korean director Bong Joon-ho. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture, the first international film to win Best Picture, and it is none other than Parasite. This is the 4K Ultra HD edition. I also have the Blu-ray edition from Criterion. I love this movie. It is one of Bong Joon-ho's best films. It is my favorite of his films, and I love this movie. If you have not seen Parasite, just know that this film won Best Picture a couple years ago. There's a reason for that. This is an amazing, amazing film that I highly recommend. It comes in at Spine 1054 in the Criterion Collection, and I simply can't say enough about it. I bought this on Blu-ray when it first, just shortly after it won the Academy Award. I bought the Blu-ray. It was a bare bones edition. Then the 4K came out, so I had to get that. And then Criterion announced that they were putting out an edition, so I got that one. Now, one thing to note about the Criterion edition that I can definitely recommend is the fact that you have a lot of special features on here, and you also get the black and white version of Parasite on this digipack. It's a digipack edition, so that's cool, and it's just super cool. I mean, I totally dig this release from the Criterion Collection. But yes, you get that black and white version, and this is a 4K digital master, so you know, this is true 4K. This is a 4K digital master on Blu-ray. The picture quality is very close. Of course, the 4K is going to edge it out slightly, but to be honest with you, you really can't tell much of a difference. This is just an amazing film and an amazing Criterion Collection edition. So there you have it. That's my updated top 25 favorite films of all time. These are my personal favorites. But I want to know in the comment section below, what are your favorite films? If you had to pick or put together a list of your top 25 favorite films, what would those films be? Also, let me know in the comment section below, what titles are you looking to pick up in this November Barnes & Noble Criterion Collection sale? Let me know that in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.